Morning to you.
Good morning to you, Mike.
Good to talk to you. Greetings of the season. I hope you had a good Christmas and all the rest of it. Let's talk about Jimmy Carter, a man for whom I suppose some Democrats might be longing to see the like of again, because they haven't really had anybody like Carter for a while, have they?
No, it's been a long time since we've had a Democrat. I mean, one can say, Democrats really loved Bill Clinton and Barack Obama.
Yeah.
But no, it's been a while since we've had a politician in either party that one can say is truly an honorable person. And a rare thing in politics, a man who, if he wasn't honest, he sure appeared to be genuinely honest. And I think he really, he started in the Navy, and I think really all Jimmy Carter ever wanted to do was serve his country with honor, and he did just that.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, that's kind of what I meant, I suppose, because he came after, a pretty poor period for American politics and the nation itself, Watergate, Gerald Ford coming in, who famously was described as a man who couldn't walk and chew gum at the same time, probably unfair. But then after Carter, you had the years of Reagan, which kind of, I think anyway, cemented, I suppose, if you want, the American dream and the American way. And that was 8 years of some pretty amazing times. And then when you got Clinton and Obama, it just wasn't the same, really. I know Democrats liked them, but they weren't sort of decent men, really, were they, like this guy?
No, and in fact, after George H.W. Bush, politics really, I think, did take a real turn there. I mean, Clinton certainly was rocked with a lot of scandal, but at the same time, a guy who never served in the military, was tough and made use of the U.S. military when he needed to, and provided the first balanced budget in decades. So, one could say that about Bill Clinton. But, to your point, too, Jimmy Carter took the Oval Office at really a rotten time. We were headed into a recession, which was in full swing during his term. And I remember my father, when Jimmy Carter would do those sort of fireside chats with his sweater on and say, well, we all need to pray for better times. And, my father would say, well, don't pray, do something. Right. And, there's only so much a president can do when you're in a recession. I mean, there's certainly, extraordinary measures that can be taken, but the business cycle is the business cycle, and it has to play itself out. And then, of course, there was the Iran hostage crisis, which Jimmy Carter could not solve. In fact, I met one of the guys when they were retiring the aircraft carrier Kitty Hawk, who was on that failed raid. And, they felt as badly as Jimmy Carter did. He felt terrible about that. But he did lead America in a time when, as you said, we'd had Richard Nixon and Watergate, then Gerald Ford, and things were not great. And he just really couldn't get the job done that people wanted to get done. And that's when we got the Ronald Reagan era. But I tell you, one of the things I admire about Jimmy Carter, as soon as he left office, I mean, the minute he left office, he got on a plane because those hostages had been released, and he went to meet them in Germany before even going home. Yeah. And, no other president would have done that.
No. And also, despite the mess that hostage attempted rescue was, he kind of came out of the Middle East with a pretty good reputation, didn't he? Because he'd actually done quite a lot and got himself a Nobel Peace Prize, I think, at one point, for managing to bring a certain element of peace to it for a little while.
Oh, well, we can't forget the Camp David Accords. That moment when Sadat and Begin shook hands, and it'll be a long time before you see something like that again. And that nearly failed. And Jimmy Carter essentially begged and pleaded with these men, stay here. Let's work this out. And he pressed and he pressed, and he got a peace agreement, and that really began to reshape the Middle East. I mean, you still have peace between Egypt and Israel to this day.
Yeah, absolutely right. Ryan, good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed. Have a great new year. Ryan Harris, US journalist based in California.